Oh, hi there, Geraldine. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. I'm a bit warm today.
It is a bit warm today, isn't it? It's not very often we say that when we're in the studio, to be fair.
I
But
know.
just for our new listeners, hopefully, out there, I'm Vickki Ridgway. I'm a litigation lawyer, and you are
I'm Geraldine Watson, family law solicitor.
fabulous. And together we are Lawfully Yours.
And it's Wednesday hump day, isn't it?
It is Wednesday hump day.
I love that.
It is Wednesday hump day. I can't believe you never heard of that before.
No, never.
You've
Love
led a
it, though.
sheltered life, haven't
I
you?
know.
Well, we're recording this in sort of the first couple of weeks in February, aren't we? So by the time it goes out, it'll be March time, I suppose. But we've literally had, I think, 100 days of rain this year, haven't we? I cannot wait for the spring and the summer. It's really
But then it
depressing.
gets too hot, doesn't it? We have really hot weather, and then that gives me headaches and it incapacitates me.
Incapacitates
me.
you.
One year, a couple of years ago, a whole week I couldn't do anything because it was that hot. Headache and just can't
Geraldine.
sleep at night.
That's not good.
Age.
That's not good.
No.
Talking about age,
Oh God.
menopause in particular, why is it that the GPs always put symptoms that a woman of a certain age experiences down to menopause?
Because isn't it?
No, not necessarily. That's the automatic. I just feel that it's so easy to say, oh, it's the menopause.
Yeah. It's a get out of jail.
And it's like,
card, isn't it?
don't overlook everything else. And you know what? ChatGPT, I love it, but it's so dangerous. You put in your symptoms in ChatGPT. God, I've been diagnosed as dead. Honestly,
Really?
It's like, honestly, you put all your symptoms and see what it comes up
But
with.
they tell you never to diagnose
I
yourself,
know,
don't
but
they?
there you go.
So, well, I have started my Pilates.
Oh, and
Oh my God! So do you know about Pilates?
a little bit.
So you can
It's a bit like yoga, isn't it?
Yeah, you can do the reformer and you can do the mat Pilates. So the reformer is the one with the machine that helps you.
Okay.
So
Oh yeah. I know what you mean.
So I joined where you can have a 14-day period and you can try some classes for free.
Right.
So the first one was the reformer session.
Right.
Some bits of it were hard. So they start off with one layer of exercise and then they build on it. And they say, if you can't do the extra layers, just stick with the layers that you can do.
Yeah.
But by the end of the class, oh my God, I had such an adrenaline rush. I felt invigorated. Absolutely loved it. Then I went along to the next one and did the mat reformer.
Okay.
Which is basically a mat.
So like
on the
yoga.
floor,
Yeah.
like yoga. Jesus wept.
What was that harder?
I felt like I'd run a marathon.
Really?
Honestly, my body had been pulled in all different ways. I'd been stretched and it was ridiculous. I didn't feel as invigorated when I came out. I promise you.
Have you been since?
No, but I am going to carry on though.
Okay.
So I'm going to join the local leisure centre to me and I'm going to go there and I'm
Okay.
going to start doing Pilates. So I think once my body gets used to it.
Yeah, they say that, don't they? But no,
Because I just thought Pilates, simple stretching movements.
Yeah, it's working on
Jesus
your core, isn't it?
Christ. It was
I love it.
horrendous.
I love it.
So,
I had to go to the dentist this week. Or
Oh,
was it last
God.
week? I really don't like
I
the
hate
dentist.
the dentist.
And I went in and sat down and the dentist said, "Oh, come and sit on the chair." I said, "I need to talk to you first." She said, "Oh dear, what's wrong?" I said, "I need to tell you how anxious I am."
Oh,
I said, "So I feel like I could cry." She went, "Oh my goodness, don't cry." She looked terrified. But anyway, I didn't need anything doing.
that's
But
good.
it's just the thought. I think that's probably a bit similar to me with advocacy. It's the thought of what might happen and how terrible it might go. And quite often it's the thought of doing something is worse than the actual doing it, don't you think?
Yeah, because it's just about prep and knowing your case.
Yeah. One thing I did do,
Yes.
okay, which was, bloody hell, that was last week, I think. I don't know what bloody day it is. One thing I did do was outside of my comfort zone. You know how much I have a love-hate relationship with networking. I went on my own to a networking event in Norwich.
Okay. Yeah.
Because obviously I'm moving to that area of the country, and I thought it was a SILEX, so a legal executive connect and grow event, where you meet with other local legal executives, and they put on. There was a speaker there that was talking about different personalities and stuff. And oh my God, I loved it. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I met some amazing people. Shout out to Sam Kimber of ProGen Research. She has the best job. Have you ever seen Air Hunters?
No.
You know, where they're looking for people that are beneficiaries of a will and they can't find them.
Oh, yeah.
So
She
that
does
is
that?
her job.
Oh, wow.
How incredible, honestly. And literally, she'd started off sort of working in the law, and then we sort of discovered this kind of area, and she's just flown with it, and she is bloody hilarious.
Really?
I've asked her if she wants to be a guest on our podcast.
Oh, okay.
She is fabulous.
Does she live up that end?
Yeah,
then?
she lives just outside Norwich.
So you're about to keep in contact, and then. Oh.
Yeah, so yeah, it was really good, and I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
I was nervous, I was anxious about it, walking into a room full of people that I didn't know, but it was amazing. I'm really glad I did it.
And they'll become your people now, won't they?
They will be my people.
Your
I will
people.
still have my people here.
You will.
You'll
You'll
still
have
be
people
one
here
of
and
my
your people
peeps.
there.
Yeah.
Well, I've had an influx of inquiries for postnuptial agreements this week.
Is that what sparked your LinkedIn post about?
It was, yeah. So all of a
Enlightening.
sudden, so obviously everybody knows what a prenuptial agreement is. So
Yeah.
postnuptial agreement is exactly the same,
But after
but it's
marriage.
after the event of the marriage has taken place.
Okay.
And it's just been really interesting, the conversations I've had with people who were inquiring about it and explaining the reasons why they want it, and not one of them where their marriage is ending. It's just they've had different change of circumstances, and they just both agree that they want to protect those assets.
I think there needs to be more open conversations between couples before and after marriage and during marriage about, because I think that one, it's perceived as a really difficult conversation to have, and I get that. You know, I want to marry you, but actually I need to make sure that what I bring into this marriage is protected.
Yeah.
Or even, you know, after the marriage, well, you know, I've come into this inheritance or whatever, and I want to protect that. But I think you've got to have those honest, open, and truthful conversations with your other half. Because I had that conversation. Okay, I've not got a prenup and I've not got a postnup, but we've had the conversations and we've had wills drawn and the properties. We've had things put in place basically to make sure that we're both protected.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think people think, like, on the one hand, if you raise the subject of a prenuptial agreement and your other half says no, that would raise a red flag to me.
Yeah.
But then they also have to think about it. If you had a prenuptial or postnuptial agreement that completely doesn't protect the other person, it's not going to be upheld anyway.
No.
It has to be fair.
Yeah.
But people don't understand that.
Yeah.
You can't have an agreement that's just going to leave the other person financially exposed.
Yeah.
That's not going to work.
100%.
So it's like you say, it's about having that conversation. And if someone isn't willing to sign an agreement, then I think that's something wrong.
So why do you think you've had an influx of post?
Don't know. Maybe because it's the new year. Maybe because we're coming up to the financial year, or maybe people are just being becoming more switched on.
And how long would something like that take you to draft?
So the drafting doesn't take too long. It's gathering the information. Yeah. So that then depends on how quickly the people get the information to you. But I think from start to finish, no more than a month.
Okay.
Really?
Okay.
Once you've got, because it can be like pulling teeth, getting the information. And you do need a lot of information for an agreement. Yeah. And then it's down to the people to provide that. Then you would say, okay, you've given me this, but what about this? Or you've not given me the correct information.
I find
then the other person has to get legal advice as well. Yeah.
So you don't advise the couple, you only advise one.
So you can help them jointly together in the preparation of the agreement, but then once it's done, the other person then needs to have independent legal advice. Right. That's one of the criteria for a pre or a post-nuptial agreement.
Okay. So, and they're not legally binding as such, they're persuasive.
Highly persuasive in the right circumstances, and get legal advice to find out what those circumstances are.
Who can they go to? Have you done any jazzes this week? I've not done any jazzes, you know. I've been quite good, I think.
My jazzes are slowing down, but I have done one.
Oh, go on then.
So, you know, when you get ready in the morning, obviously have a shower, do your teeth, whatever, put your body spray on and things like that. So I put my body spray on and everything, and I was just wasn't feeling quite right. I was just like, this doesn't feel right. Is it like an old one or something like that? And I'd put hairspray on.
Oh.
That's why I was feeling a bit sticky. instead of my body spray.
So what did you do? You have to have another shower,
Yeah.
did you?
Because it was just, I couldn't, and I was like, for God's sake. So my hairs were on end.
Yeah, you put deodorant on your hair. You've been eaten by that plant, mate.
I know,
it's under your armpits. It's the hairspray.
Anyway, we have a lovely guest now, don't we?
We do have a lovely guest. I'm so excited about this because you've been non-stop talking about this lady.
She's amazing, though.
So, yes. Shall we introduce her?
We shall. So today we have the lovely Anarkali.
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 Think of it like this. Do you know what the best way a client told me? She said it rhymes with sparkly.
Oh. Yes.
How fabulous is that?
Anarkali.
We all need a bit of Anarkali sparkly in our lives.
I was just about to say, so today we have the sparkly Anarkali. Who here?
Yeah. Brilliant.
And she is a family law barrister, very experienced, and yes, we've had a few conversations about similar topics. So she's been very gratefully agreed to join us today. So welcome
to
Lawfully Yours.
Yes, so lovely to have you here. Looking very
Thank
sparkly.
you so much for having me. Thank you for inviting me to do this with you. It's really lovely.
No, absolutely. It's our pleasure, isn't it? It's our pleasure.
Yes.
So what we tend to do is we ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself, about your background. You don't need to go into like I was born on such and such a date, that sort of thing. But just a little bit about you, what you do, what inspires you. And I know you've got some pressing topics you want to discuss, haven't you, Geraldine?
So
tell us a little bit about you, Anarkali, and how you got to be where you are today.
Great. So I am a barrister at Coram Chambers in London. I specialise in private children law.
Wow. Okay.
I have been doing this job for 20 long years now. I cannot believe it myself.
It's shocking, isn't it, how quickly it goes?
Not least because I don't think I ever intended or expected to become a lawyer.
Oh,
And I think least of all did it ever occur to me when I was a child that I would become a barrister. So I think most people in my profession either had some sense of it or always wanted to do this job. And I think I'm really anomalous because I really feel, and I still feel, as though I stumbled into this job. And I don't really know. I mean, all these years, it feels like 20 years have kind of crept up on me. But I have been thinking about this recently because, well, partly in preparation for this podcast anyway, but just generally when I think you hit 20 years anywhere, it does make you think and reflect on how you've spent your time and how you got to where you are. And for me, I read classics at university and I'm dyslexic as well. Okay. And I'm mixed race. And all of these things meant that I didn't really ever think of myself I never really felt that there wasn't anything I couldn't do, but at the same time, I didn't feel particularly obviously drawn to anything either. And when I left university, there wasn't an obvious path for me, or at least that's the way I felt. And I actually think in hindsight, that was not an inaccurate analysis of the situation. There wasn't an obvious path. My family wasn't, they were kind of, my mum's foreign. I think that makes a big difference to where you see yourself in a country. My dad was a shopkeeper. So I didn't necessarily think, I'm definitely going to be a lawyer. I didn't watch any programs and aspire to be any of those characters. But when I left university, I kind of felt like I wanted to do something that was going to be interesting, which in and of itself is obviously not a particularly original thought. But I joined the civil service. Really, I think in hindsight, I was astonishingly poorly equipped for that role. I'm not very diplomatic. I'm not very commercial. And I'm really not very corporate. And I think within a very short period of time, I had a very clear sense that I needed the person that I was to work for me in a job and to be valued. And the qualities I bring to a role to be valued. and that if I was going to be successful at doing anything, that would need it would be on the basis of what I brought, I as a person, as
Yeah.
a personality brought to the job.
Yeah.
And so really what I thought I wanted to do then was kind of work in some sort of organization. And I didn't want to work up from the bottom. So I thought if I became a lawyer or did a law degree, I could kind of get into the middle rank and then move away. The plan was to
How
move
did
away
that
very
go
quickly
for
from what
you?
I thought was going to be a really boring job into something really interesting. But what happened was that I did my law conversion and I kind of thought, okay, what I'll be able to do is do what all of my friends have done and get a training contract with one of the Magic Circle firms. And I think quite wisely, they rejected me, all of them. And so I kind of had to think about what else I was going to do. And by this stage, money had been spent on law conversion degrees and stuff like this. So at that point as well, we had a choice. If you did the BBC, you could become a solicitor or a barrister. And if you did the LPC, you could only become a solicitor.
Yeah.
And I remember just thinking, well, why on earth would I choose the LPC when it restricts my potential instead of the BBC? And so I did the BBC, and my mum said to me, well, why don't you apply to some chambers then? Because she actually always did like the idea of me being a lawyer.
Of course.
And so I applied and got rejected again. I mean, my story is one of like quite significant rejection, which has stood me in very
Look
good
at you
stead as it
now.
turns out. Yeah, exactly. So I got rejected, and then I also, and this is something that actually most people are always really surprised about, I failed my BBC. I failed two parts of it, the
Wow.
negotiation and and the employment law module. And so I resat that and kind of, but I knew I really had to get pupillage within the year, like that year, because I wasn't going to get.
Yeah.
I just kind of needed to move into it before all the results came out, and I had to do my resits. And just by the skin of my teeth, I got pupillage, and I wasn't their first choice. I was their second choice. But that was it.
The
That's
rest is
what I
history.
needed.
So quite similar sort of kind of introduction to law that we both had, really. So we both sort of, well, I certainly fell into the law by accident, really, and kind of thought, I absolutely love this and I want to do this. And you...
I was on maternity leave with my daughter and thought, okay, I need to go back to work now, but I don't just want a job, I want a career.
Yeah.
So I then studied my law degree part-time and I qualified just before my 40th birthday.
Yeah,
and lived
I don't think that sort of path is unusual.
Not now, is it?
I think it's quite common for people to sort of come to law, not necessarily later in life, but just as a kind of, why not? Why and it absolutely.
I think years ago it was always thought that you could only do it if you're of a certain category of person, or your family were traditionally professionals.
Yes, and that's certainly not the case.
It isn't now, is it? No. But I remember when I first started going to court, sitting behind counsel, I always used to feel so intimidated by the barristers from London, because I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. But now I'm just like, we're all there to do the same job.
Yeah,
so it's amazing.
So why
one thing I never do is Google other people. I never do that.
You never Google yourself?
I never Google a profile. I never do that. I just don't think it helps. Okay. And I don't think it makes any difference to my experience except to stress me out.
Yes. No, you're right.
I never do that.
Yeah. So why family law?
Well, I mean, really, when I started out, it was quite unusual for people to specialise, and there's certainly in London at least is a trend of specialisation, which I think is not the same actually as, for example, somewhere in like Birmingham. I think their trend is to conglomerate. Yeah. So there's like a few supersets there. And I think actually my hunch is that that's the way the rest of the country is moving. Yeah. But I think in London, actually things are becoming more and more specialist. Okay. Anyway, the point is, when I started out, I didn't specialise at all. But what I found was that family law just came to me more easily. And I found it more interesting, really.
What do you enjoy?
I thought about the cases more. I found the stories at the heart of family law to be more compelling. And I actually enjoyed the interactions that I had with my clients more. I enjoyed the interactions with the other barristers more. I liked working with my solicitors in the way that I did. So it didn't take that long for me always to have a sense that family law was going to be
It's the
part
right
of my
direction.
career. And when I did do employment law for not in a substantial amount of time, but when I joined Coram Chambers, I tried to keep the employment law up, but it was unrealistic in a family law only set. But there was no great sense of loss. And actually, I felt really happy to be in an environment where I was working with people who enjoyed the same things as I do, really, and enjoyed the bits about family law that I did. And I think that's been a really significant point in my career. I think it's really, really helped me. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Is there anything about family law or the clients or the solicitors that you don't like? Any aspect of family law that you don't like?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty. I mean, if we're honest,
Don't
I
name
don't
anybody.
like the way that I don't like it when I get papers last thing. I find that incredibly stressful to manage.
Yeah.
I think almost everybody I would like every single barrister in the world will say that as well.
Yes.
I think it's really difficult when you're working. I think in private law in particular, there's a tendency for lawyers to take on their clients' cases as if they're their own. And I think that's an incredibly unhelpful feature of litigation.
Yeah.
And I also just think that family does tend to bring out quite disproportionate reactions in professionals sometimes. And I don't just mean the other lawyers, but I mean judges at times seem to be taking on an emotional burden that is not proportionate to the issues in the case. I think that family law, because it's so emotive, I think it can lend itself to like really difficult situations if people aren't very aware of actually how they're processing some of the stuff they're dealing with.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, certainly when I started my career in the law, I was a secretary to a family lawyer. And that was quite short-lived, really, because that, I don't know if it was anything personal, but that lady left. And then I moved over into sort of personal injury and clinical negligence. But I always found it, and I've spoken to you about this before, Geraldine, but really astonishing that people would fall out over such small things. A Friday afternoon, you'd get a call from a father saying that the mother won't, or vice versa. The mother won't let me have access to the children because I'm 5 minutes late and there was a traffic jam. And it's just like, honestly, it's just crazy. And I don't think that I personally, emotionally, could have carried on working in family law. I think it probably would have been too much for me.
I think it's, I don't know about you, but it's a case of managing solicitors as well as the clients, isn't it? Because I would imagine when you go to court and you get presented with the case on behalf of the solicitor, then you have to perhaps sometimes give different advice to the clients that the solicitors have given, because they do, like you say, sometimes they do seem to take it they seem to take it personally. I know I get emails from other solicitors and I'm just like, that's just completely unnecessary. You're just taking your role as a solicitor is to take the emotion out of the situation and to help your client understand what they can and can't do and what they should and shouldn't do and what the process is. So I can imagine you have a lot more of a difficult job than sometimes I do.
I think I actually don't agree with you, Geraldine, because I think that what I don't have to deal with, that you have to deal with, is somebody on the phone all the time. And so I have quite a discreet role in these proceedings. Obviously, it's a case, it's quite hard not to be invested in some cases, not all of my cases, but some. And so you kind of do want to keep an eye on things. But what I don't have to deal with, which you do, is kind of phone calls, in real, and giving advice in real time, which I think is such a challenge. If somebody's gone to the school gates and their partner's there and you're having a phone call, I mean, it's very, very easy for me, isn't it, to kind of, 3 hours or 3 weeks later in court to say, well, that advice was appropriate or that was completely unacceptable. But at the time, I'm not sure that I could, that's a very specific skill set that I've always admired that solicitors have had.
Because this is what I've said to Geraldine before about advocacy generally. It's not my bag. I always delegate advocacy. But you have to think on your feet. You really have to know your stuff. When you're standing there before a judge and before your opponent and a question is fired at you, you have to think on your feet then, don't you? And I don't think I could do that. You just seem to, it's just like,
That's about knowing your case though, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
But also, I don't think you're right, Vickki, because
Are you saying I'm wrong?
No, I don't.
very
I am.
dare you.
Yeah, I am saying that you're wrong because I think you know, if you've been doing this job for a long time, the arguments are pretty similar.
Yes, probably.
So what you've got to get, like, I think once you've got inside the arguments, you know how they turn out.
Yeah.
And obviously you need to know your case. So it kind of, you know, I'm not trying to pretend it's not fact specific. It is.
Yeah.
But there's a limited number typically of arguments that are going to be used in any particular scenario. And once you've got your head around those, and that's what learning how to do this job involves, then actually you've got your arguments, and that's when you start having fun with the job, because you can be quite creative about it.
Love it. A barrister that has fun. I love it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what I really like about the job, because I think it's really creative, and I think it's a really, really fun job when you get your head around it. And certainly for me, you know, coming from an incredibly bumpy start, which I've detailed with painstaking accuracy to you this afternoon, it took me a long time to get my head around this job. But I think that's something I've definitely done. And I've got to say, I think this job is an absolute hoot if you know how to do it. And I think this job is great fun. There's loads of, there's a lot of creativity to be had in this job. You know, it's really interesting. It's like, it challenges you in loads and loads of ways. It's intellectually it pushes you.
Yes, absolutely.
And I just think there's loads of, there's a lot of ways to think about the arguments that really, really push you to what you think you can achieve intellectually. And I really love that about the job. And, you know, when you kind of hate the job, and there are times when you really, really do, believe me, I often think, oh, you know, I had this kind of mad fantasy last year in summer that what I really wanted to do was jack my job in and become a Ruth Thatcher.
That's a bit random, isn't it?
I was like, that was the fancy. I was like, right, that's what I can do. It's going to be really nice, and I'll be outside all the time. So
did you actually look into doing that?
People.
Did you actually look into doing that, and how you?
Obviously not. It was just some deranged fantasy, you know, at kind of like 2 a.m. when I was trying to get on top of a bundle.
Oh,
but you know what? This is what makes us lawyers actually human. Yeah. Because we do have those random thoughts, just like everybody else. You know, and I think there's always been that stigma as to lawyers and barristers and judges and stuff. But at the end of the day, you are just human. You still have these things going on in your lives.
Yeah.
You still have those days when you get up and think, I really don't want to do this today.
No. And I think that was one of the aims of the reasons why we started the podcast, was to let people know that we are approachable and, you know, that there shouldn't be that stigma. And it is easy to have a conversation with a lawyer, but a lot of people are afraid. And they put on suits when they come and see you.
I know.
And they're nervous about having that first conversation.
Yeah.
So that was one of the aims of the podcast, is to help people understand.
Normalise it a little bit, I think, as well. And
what I wanted to talk to you today about was obviously about the presumption of contact. For people that don't understand. So
I was just going to say, what are you talking about?
So when you go to court and you're presented with, the judge is presented with an application for one parent to be able to spend time with the other parent.
Yeah.
The court have this presumption.
No, with the other child.
Sorry?
No, to spend time with the children, not with the other parent.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah, to spend time with the children.
Yeah.
So there's the automatic starting position that parent should have contact with the child or the children unless it's unsafe to do so.
Okay.
So obviously now there's a lot of talk about legislating to remove the presumption of contact.
Right, okay.
And Anarkali and I have spoken about this before, so I think this is now a great time for you to intervene and talk about it.
And tell us properly.
Tell us properly, yes.
So at the moment, there is this legal presumption that the involvement of both parents is in the children's best interests, and that is a piece of legislation. You know, it's in the Children Act, and that's where the court. That's the starting point from the court. I really struggle to see what the issue is.
Surely that's right, isn't it?
Well, also it's a presumption.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's a presumption.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to it. It's not a thing that you stick to
Yeah.
throughout a case in the face of the facts and all the other features of the case. And I guess what I feel about this is that there's been quite a fanfare about it, and I don't really understand why, because I don't see decisions being determined in any other way than they already are. I've never heard, for example, at a final hearing, when you're making, submissions around final child arrangement orders, I've never heard anybody say, well, I think, little Johnny should be spending 2 weekends instead of one, because there's a presumption of parental, involvement. I've just never heard those submissions. And I feel that I feel like this is a political slogan. And I feel quite frustrated about it because I think it does two things. First of all, I think it is political. I don't think it's a substantial change. I think it's there because there is a perception that the family court is not friendly to victims of domestic violence. And I don't, in some ways, totally disagree with that view, but I'm not sure that removing the presumption of parental involvement actually goes anywhere towards correcting the injustices that victims suffer in the family court and elsewhere in society. But secondly, I think that, at the moment, if you claim to be a victim of either sex, although I do think that there are grounds for believing that sexes are treated differently in court in respect to the allegations, you do get an enormous amount of, I suppose, advantages in court as things stand in any event. So, if you claim that you're a victim of domestic violence and, for example, you are entitled to legal aid.
Okay.
Which obviously the alleged perpetrator or somebody who, for example, is being lied about would not be. And, there's a number of kind of assumptions that we make. So, for example, when you're looking at interim contact between the first few hearings and the hearing where you determine whether or not those allegations are truthful, they are done on the basis of the allegations potentially being true.
Okay.
And whilst I recognise that you do need to do that sometimes, I think there is a lack of rigorous analysis sometimes of those allegations. And so what I'm trying to say is that in the round, I feel that actually the system that we have does give victims or alleged victims at least an initial advantage.
Yeah.
I agree.
I feel like removing a presumption, which is only ever going to be a presumption, it is kind of a fig leaf.
I think from my perspective, and I know that I'm simplifying it, but the general scenario is, and it is usually mothers will make the allegations against the father for whatever reason. You then go along, CAFCAS obviously do their safeguarding letter, and they say either Section 7 or a finding of fact hearing. We can't do anything until we establish the facts. And then you have months of potentially the father having no contact because the court will just look at that and just say, okay, well, we need to look at those facts. Then you've got the waiting time for the court before you get to the finding of fact hearing. And then if no allegations have been proven, you then sometimes have to wait for another hearing. And you potentially, in some cases I have experienced, you've got a whole year where the father has had no contact with the child. And then they're having to then face the problem of saying, well, we've had no contact for a year. Is it going to destabilise the child to then involve the father again?
Yeah.
That's my genuine fear. And I know there are genuine cases of domestic abuse. 100% get that.
Yeah.
But for the non-genuine cases, those parents are then going to, if it does go through, they're going to use that to their advantage and hold their hand up and just say X, Y, and Z.
So if this is just a somebody that doesn't have any family law experience. So if the allegation is that one parent is abusing or being violent to the other, and there's no allegations that the children are being abused or in any physical or emotional way, why did the children's relationship with that parent be
because they say that it impacts on the in that case, the mother's ability to be a parent because she's been the victim of abuse.
So it's
by
the
exposing
fear.
the child to the father, it's bringing them back into the fold. Would you agree with that?
Well, I think there are several assumptions that the court works on, and the first is that an abusive person is abusive.
Yes.
So if they're abusive to a mother, they're going to be abusive to a child. I think there is
Yeah.
that assumption implicit,
Yeah.
although it's never actually spelled out.
Yeah.
I think the other one is actually that if there has been an abusive relationship between the parents, and the child will have been affected by that.
Yes.
Because they will have been exposed to it just in the dynamic of that relationship, and that will have been detrimental to the child.
Yeah.
And then, as Geraldine says, it also goes to the extent to which that the parent who has the child can parent if they're constantly being exposed to abusive behaviour from somebody who's been abusive for a long time.
Yeah.
Do you think it will? Do you think it will be removed? Do you think they will be successful in legislating to remove the presumption of contact? Because at the moment it's just all talk and potentially going through the Houses of Parliament and things like that.
I think there's this kind of I feel my hunch is that politically, and these things are always political decisions, there is so much that's not working about our system, essentially through underfunding and delay, which, by the way, in family cases is an active factor, although it's treated like a neutral or not a factor at all by the court. But in family law, in family cases, it's an active factor. Sorry, I was saying that there's such a perception that this is a justice system which isn't serving victims, that this is an easy win. It costs nothing, really, let's face it. I mean, in terms of, if you asked any lawyer in the country, apart from perhaps a lawyer in the commercial court, what does the court system need? I think most of them would say we need enormous amounts of investment in the infrastructure. We don't have enough judges. Our buildings are literally falling to pieces. There's not enough admin staff to process the applications. We just don't have enough of stuff. Like, I was in Barnet the other day and there just weren't enough screens. So we had to, each party had to sit in conference rooms, and we had to have the hearing remotely because there just weren't enough screens in the court. So there's just not enough stuff. And if I would like to say to any politician or government that if you really care about victims and children, then you will spend money on the justice system instead of wasting your time removing a presumption that has made, in my view, no discernible difference to any case I've ever been on. I think they will do it because it's free. And I think they'll do it because it's a distraction from all the stuff they're not spending their money on and should be spending their money on. I think they will do it, but I feel that this is kind of a disingenuous time waster, so that, at the end of whatever term, people can say something has been done when, in fact, we know that something is being done, which effectively is nothing.
I mean, I'm hopeful that even if it does go through, that if you get a decent district judge, obviously not magistrates, but if you get a decent district judge, they will think about the facts of the specific case and then ignore the fact that there is no longer a presumption and just get on with the case. Because as you say, nobody ever really talks about the presumption of contact. So I'm hoping that will just be a side issue and not be a factor in the cases. That's what I'm hoping.
The thing is, I suppose what I'm trying to explain is that we're getting rid of what?
Yeah.
Because it's never been a factor anyway, realistically, because everything is so fact specific. And I mean, I've dealt with a number of cases quite recently where we've removed parental responsibility from an abusive parent, even in the face of this presumption. So the presumption doesn't work to stop those things from happening. We already have quite a substantial number of ways in which we can apply the law to stop perpetrators from having anything to do with their children's lives. And I just don't see that. But, those cases, like I say, are very fact specific. And a broad presumption that really has never been determinative in any case I've ever read, any reported case I've read, or any case I've ever done. I just wonder why I have to say, I feel incredibly cynical about why this is being seized
Yeah.
on, except to placate victims, typically women, of horrendous domestic violence, um, and tell them it's going to do something which it won't do. I mean, instead, there are so many more effective fixes they could make in the short term if they wanted to assist victims of domestic violence. One of which is, when you go to court, why do alleged victims or actual victims, when things have been determined, have to stay in a room the whole time when the perpetrator gets to walk around the whole, the court building, go to the loo? They don't have to do any of that stuff. If you're an alleged victim or an actual victim, then you're the one that's, being taken into
Isolated,
funny little
yeah.
entrances, going into secret rooms, essentially you're not allowed to go out, be in the communal area, like going to the toilet becomes a kind of military mission. And I just don't see why the victim has to endure that.
Yeah.
Why are we doing it that way round? I went into court, for example, earlier this week, and my client was a victim, and the screen was around her. I don't understand why the screen wasn't around the perpetrator. I mean, why should she be the one that's being hidden away,
Yeah.
essentially? And it's just tiny things like that. That would make quite a big difference to the dynamic of a case. And I think it's something that should be done.
I mean, I had no idea that what you were just talking about there with the victim being the one that's effectively isolated. And I understand why they have to be kept apart, but that's just adding literally insult to injury to that victim and making them feel more ashamed and isolated than they already do.
Yeah.
That just doesn't make sense to me.
No. I think you hit on the nail on the head as well. It's more training for the judges in the issues of domestic abuse. I think that's a must. But if they're not going to plough any money into the court buildings themselves, they're not going to plough any more money into the training, are they? So,
well, I would really like to see quite targeted training for judges, because I think most judges who do family law actually receive an immense amount of training. But what they don't really receive, or at least there's no obvious evidence, if I may say so, in my experience of having these cases determined by a vast array of judges, is kind of training into kind of the specifics of it. So, for example, if a man alleges domestic violence, are we treating them in an equivalent way to when a woman alleges domestic violence? And are we treating women in an equivalent way to men who allege parental alienation? And I guess also the way I feel about this is, my personal feeling is that brown men in particular do really, really badly in the family court through no fault of their own, through a whole load of prejudices from, professionals specifically. And I wish that I think my own personal belief, which is that brown and black, and when I say brown, I mean kind of people of color, men of color, do really, really badly. It is not an uncommon view. I think we all
that
feel.
blows my mind. I never ever see this colour of somebody's skin as being anything other than the colour of their skin. It doesn't make, for me, any difference in terms of what their entitlement is, what their rights are. That I can never comprehend when there's been anything that is supposedly due to the colour of somebody's skin.
I think the way I understood it more was a friend of mine who is black. He was saying, unless you're in that situation,
oh, absolutely,
you just things that we don't even see.
Yeah.
Like if you're standing in a queue, for example,
Yeah,
things that we don't even think about.
It shouldn't make any difference,
No,
should it?
I
mean, that's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
Whole other topic.
But I think it is relevant to stuff like this, because I think, there's this whole thing about the use of the word aggressive when you're speaking about black men or women. It's a very, very loaded word. And I have got to say, I used to do a lot of care work. I don't think I ever read a description of a client or a parent who was black that didn't involve the word aggressive.
Wow.
In it. I never ever care. And that wasn't my my own personal experience of those clients is kind of irrelevant because they don't really give evidence about it. But I just feel that it's such an easy and lazy way to talk about people of colour. And I do think that in particular, Asian men are they I come from an Asian background, and I just wish that they were treated individually instead of lumped into this kind of like honor killing
Absolutely.
Pakistani, kind of uh, like this sense that people from India or Pakistan or the South Asian continent, um, have automatically have what we consider to be regressive views about women and about their place in family and society. And I just see it time and time again. There's an assumption that these men, it doesn't matter what they say or do, there's just an assumption that they are much more conservative, I suppose, in their views about women. And I think it is quite determinative, actually, in the way that facts are found against them.
I agree. Yeah.
Gosh, it's very worrying,
It
isn't
is very worrying. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. On a lighter note, what do you do for fun apart from being a barrister? What do you do in your spare time? Do you have spare time?
Yeah, so I mean, what do I do for fun? I mean, I love going out for meals, like almost everybody in the world.
Yeah.
And, like I really love I love traveling and stuff like that. It's one of the things I have started doing this year, actually, as part of my New Year's resolution, is just doing 30 minutes of exercise every single day.
Oh, wow.
And I've got to say, it really has been quite a game changer.
Really?
So I've really started, yeah.
Okay. So
Do you
I
do
always
it at
think I'm going to
home,
do
is it?
these things, and then it's like, oh, I can't be
That's the
bothered.
thing. Do you do it at home, or do you go outside or to a gym, or
Don't go to a gym.
no? So you do it at home.
I've never worked out in a gym, but I do it at home, or if I go for a run, I go to classes, or I'll just go run, for a run around my house. And I just feel that it's really, it's been quite, it's been quite, it's made this year feel quite different from last year.
Wow, that's really interesting.
When you're doing a job that involves so much reading and screen time and sitting still in one position, it's such a lovely thing to be able to just put some time aside to move.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to learn how to do like different dance moves. And I know it sounds really daft, but it's such a pleasure.
Wow. Well, good for you.
Yeah, that is good.
Good for
That's
you.
good. I think it's hard to find the time to do that.
I think it
and
is.
to stick to it.
It is, but
yeah,
it's the
brilliant.
knock-on effect of doing that. Well,
Yeah.
maybe I'll do 10 minutes.
Let's do 10.
Love it. So we've come to the part in the podcast now where every podcast or when we have guests, we talk about, we have two laws, one of which is false and one of which is true. And then we have a question from a previous guest. So the two laws from our last guest, which was Suleiman Nagdi, wasn't it? So the first one, the aim is that the guest and the listeners guess which is true and which is false.
Yeah.
So the first one is, under French law, it is a public offence to leave an opened but not yet empty bottle of wine on the table in a restaurant. Is that true or not?
And the second one is, if you keep the incorrect amount of change given to you in a shop, is that theft?
What do you think?
I think the last one is yes.
You think it's theft?
Yeah, I do think it's theft.
And you don't think it's a public offence to leave an opened but unfinished bottle of wine? What is an unfinished bottle of wine, first of all?
That's what I don't understand.
A girl after our own heart. So
yeah, what do they mean by that? Because I wouldn't normally pour a whole bottle of wine into my glass or my friend's glass, and that's an unfinished and open bottle of wine that's sitting on the table.
Well, yeah, but it wouldn't be there for long, would it?
No.
Let's be honest. So you think it's theft? Is that right, Geraldine?
That is correct. Yes.
Well, there
you
we
are
go.
right.
Phew. Okay, good.
So then we have our new laws. Do you want to go first on this one, Geraldine?
Yeah, so on these, so again, we'll give you the two laws, but we won't reveal the answers until the next episode.
Yeah.
So this is just for you to have a think about and our guests. So...
She's lost it. She's got that. Well, you've only got one notebook today, Geraldine.
Have I got the laws? Oh, yeah, no,
yes,
here it is.
I've
Here
got
it is.
one.
Here it is. Okay, so can you, so is this true or false? So you can be married by the captain of a ship in international waters, and it is automatically valid in the UK.
So don't answer that. Just have a think.
That's one.
And then the other one is, For a contract to be valid, it must be in writing, signed by all parties and dated. So there are the two laws. Don't answer.
No, she can have a guess.
Oh, okay. Go on then.
She can have a guess.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident that the second one is not true.
Okay.
And the first one, by default, will be true then.
Okay. Well, we'll reveal the answers at the next episode.
You have to listen to the next one.
I will do, and I look forward to
Brilliant.
it.
We've got a question.
And then the question from Solomon was...
Yeah? Oh, I got it. Okay.
Yeah. So this is the question from a previous guest for you, and then we're going to ask you to put a question to another guest.
The next guest. So...
Great, fun.
His question was, how is trespass understood by people? So how would you understand, what do you understand trespass to mean? That's his question.
So my understanding of trespass involves what I understand of land law, which is not necessarily accurate, but I think it's when you go without consent of the person who is entitled to exclude you from a piece of land into that land. And it's not necessarily the person who owns the land or even the leaseholder, it's the person who's got possession and is entitled to exclude you for whatever reason.
Okay. So the definition of trespass, it involves entering or remaining on land without the owner's permission, and it has to cause harm to another person or their property. So yes,
it doesn't have to be the physical person. It can be the person's belongings, etc.
Anything like that. Yeah. So do you have a question? It could literally be any question, any random, any silly question, whatever you would like to ask.
What about the law generally?
No,
this is for your
next. It could be anything like, how do you like your coffee, or anything you want to ask.
Well, we've had that one, haven't we?
Have had that one, but anything.
Yeah.
I'd quite like to know what how the two of you came to start doing this, and how you met, and why you decided that was this is something that you wanted to continue doing.
We can answer that, can't we?
Yeah.
So we
over a bottle of wine.
Yeah, literally. So Geraldine and I worked together at a law firm many years ago, and then we both went our separate ways, didn't we? And then we reconnected through a networking group.
Yeah.
And we've always had a bit of banter, haven't we? We always got on really well. And we refer work to and from each other. And then we were part of this networking group. Was held near a bar, wasn't it? And so we were just having it was a cider in the summer or something, wasn't it, in the garden of this place? And I just randomly sort of said, we should do a podcast. This would be quite good because there's quite a lot of synergy with litigation and family.
Yeah.
And we talked about it and talked about it.
We kept putting it off and back to
it. And the thought behind it was that the only podcasts that we were aware of that were out there,
legal podcasts.
Yeah, legal podcasts were
boring.
Quite.
I say it as I see it, don't I?
Quite fact-based.
Yes,
very legal worded.
Which we understand why. Yeah.
But we wanted to be more, as you said earlier, more approachable, more to be seen as the human beings that we are. We make mistakes, we mess up.
Just trying to get the information out there in a more user-friendly way, I think.
Yeah.
Because obviously when if you have a conversation with a solicitor or barrister, sometimes the information can be a bit overwhelming. So we're just trying to, I suppose, dumb it down.
Yeah.
A bit, really,
I
think.
We're a bit like Law for Dummies, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah. I think so.
But we have fun along the way. We've met some amazing people.
We went to the British Podcast Awards last year.
We did. That was fabulous.
In London. That was, oh my God, that was so much fun.
Who did you have your photograph taken
Jordan
with?
North. Do you know Jordan North?
Yeah,
had a photo. And Nick Grimshaw. It was brilliant.
It was
honestly.
Fabulous.
It was such a good.
Why can't we go this year, Geraldine?
Because I'm getting married this year.
Oh, congratulations, Geraldine.
Thank you.
So I think you should postpone the wedding, to be honest.
If I can go on the honeymoon still.
Sorted.
So that's how this podcast came about.
It's just slowly evolving, isn't it? And we just have so much fun.
Yes. Hopefully you've enjoyed it today.
Yeah, I really have. It has been a lot of fun. I still didn't, even though you told me what to expect, I didn't really know what to expect. And I wasn't, you've been really, really very warm hosts.
Oh, I've got one last question for you. I think I might know the answer, but that might be too obvious an answer. If not a barrister, then what?
A
Just
Thatcher.
a Thatcher. A Thatcher.
Yeah.
I mean, I can hardly think of a less well-equipped person to do that job.
Love it.
I don't know. I think I sort of feel increasingly like it just doesn't matter what I chose. I would have chosen when I was 20. If I just stuck with it, I'd have found something interesting about most jobs.
Can you see yourself doing anything else now?
Now, yeah, I can, except
Okay.
that I don't think I will, because what I like is being good at my job and I don't want to start from the bottom.
I think that's the worry for a lot of professional people, isn't it? In that, you know, I know a former nurse who then studied law and she's now a coroner, and you know, she said very much the same, in that, you know, she'd been doing nursing for so many years, and it was a case of, I'm going to do this and I'm going to be right at the bottom again, learning and then working my way up. But she's done it. She's brilliant.
Would you ever like to be a judge?
Oh,
No. I mean, I have applied to be a recorder, and I'm still hoping that at some stage I will get through that selection process.
okay.
But I think, you know, when you first start the job, you do kind of think that maybe at the end that's what you'll do. But I think they have my job, my life, my professional life is so much better than the quality of life that the MOJ has to offer judges at the moment, that you would need to, you know, you'd really need to incentivize me to do that. And at the moment, it's really not obvious how you would do that, because I'd be taking quite a significant pay cut. I'd be working more hours, and I'd have to be a lot more patient than I am.
Yeah, where's the attraction?
I think you would make an amazing judge, don't
She
you?
would.
I think you'd
She
make
would.
a
But I
brilliant
think you should.
judge.
I mean, I've not seen you in action, but I get the feel that you would be amazing.
Fierceless opponent. I
Absolutely.
think I would never want to come across you. If I see your name, I'm running for the hills.
You're not.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We
Thank
have
you.
loved having you
Thank you
here.
for having me.
Thank you, and it's nice to see that you've not sort of recorded from your bathroom, and you've got.
Well, there are marks on that wall, but I'm just hoping
We
that they're
can't
not
see
very
them. It's a
obvious.
mark
No.
on the screen, isn't it?
No,
That's what
it's
it is.
brilliant. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much. You take care.
It's been a real pleasure to meet you both. Like,
All right.
even though it's not in person, it feels like it's in person.
No, I'm
Thank
sure it will
you.
be one day.
It will be,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, brilliant.
Take
Well,
care.
next time you're in London, do let me know. won't you?
Oh yes. Well, it
Yes,
won't be
we
for the
will.
podcast awards, will it?
And I really hope you have a great wedding. I'm
Thank
sure you will,
you.
Geraldine.
Thank you very
And
much.
that's really exciting. So yeah, stay in touch. It's been great.
Yeah, we'll do,
Brilliant.
definitely. Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye.
Bye-bye. So that was good, wasn't
It
it?
was brilliant.
Yeah.
Very inspired. I'm not sure I'm inspired to do 30 minutes of exercise every morning. I'm certainly not running around the house.
No, but you could do my Pilates.
Don't do running. I don't
Better than
know.
nothing.
I don't-
My
I'd
stairs,
take the
walking up
dog
and down
for
my
a
bloody
walk.
stairs.
Yeah, well, you've got a 3-story house. haven't
Jesus,
you?
I was.
And your office is right at the top, isn't
Yeah,
it?
and then I kept forgetting things today, so I had to keep going down 4 times in one go. I had to go up and down my stairs.
God, I'd be passing
I
out.
was shattered.
I'd need an oxygen chamber up there. No, that was really, really inspiring.
was.
Actually, it was really,
It was
really
good.
good. I hope do get to meet her in person.
Yes,
I do.
it's fabulous.
Yes, absolutely. So we've had quite a busy episode and a busy week, and I think are we recording 3 episodes next
Oh,
week,
we are.
Geraldine?
Yes,
Yeah.
we are.
But 3 good episodes.
Yes.
All our episodes are good, but I'm actually looking forward to 3 episodes, 4 guests.
I know.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Fabulous. So watch this
Aren't we
space.
popular?
So should we end today with thought for the day?
This is all about squirrels.
Oh, Danny likes squirrels. Danny likes chasing squirrels.
So, when a female when a female squirrel discovers a lost baby squirrel,
Oh,
her first instinct is to offer food. But before anything else, she makes sure that it is truly orphaned. For 3 days, she watches, searches and waits, and when she is certain that the little one is alone, she takes it in with infinite tenderness. She feeds it, gently tames it, and slowly integrates it into her family as if it had always been one of her own. The mother squirrel is also a caring partner. When her partner returns home carrying nuts, I knew you'd smile at that. Knew you'd smile at that. She greets him with a kiss and expresses her love. No, she greets him with a kiss and he expresses his love by offering her the most beautiful nuts and almonds. Ready?
Yeah.
Together, they form a wonderful family and also help preserve the future of humanity. For half of the seeds they bury, perhaps forgotten, will grow into new shrubs, new trees and forests. So let us learn a little of the wisdom from the animals. That's a teaser for one of our guests next week about taking in someone that wasn't born into your family.
Not about sharing nuts then.
Not about sharing nuts.
Not about welcoming
he was
your
like,
husband.
you know, my nuts if you want. So did you like that?
Yes, I did.
That nuts.
I did. I wasn't going to laugh, but you looked at me and smiled, and that was it. I knew that you were thinking the same thing as I was
thinking.
I knew
you would.
No, that is.
It's good, isn't it? Heartwarming again.
Yes, it is. It is. Well, that's the end of this episode. So, if anyone would like to ask us a question.
Oh, we've had some questions, by the way, but I'll do them next time.
Okay. Our email address is lawfullyyourspod@gmail.com. We're on all the platforms for podcasts. We're on Instagram and we're on TikTok.
Woo-hoo.
Apparently.
Tiki-toki, I call it. Tiki-toki.
Well, I've been Vickki.
And I've been Geraldine.
And together we have been
Lawfully Yours.